It feels like we, behind the scenes, though. Who wants to be? I've got man flu, so I'm not at the races today. And I laid a
Combined with
patio.
that yesterday, you're going to be a right barrel lass.
I laid a patio yesterday as well. God, that's bad. I've never felt more emasculated in my life. That we had a mate of ours come round, who'd come to help us, and he was smashing it all up and using the tamper and there's me there going, oh, I think I've chipped a nail.
What's a tamper? What's a tamper?
Oh, it's a place in Florida. No, it's the thing that you smash down on the ground to level it out and beat it down. I think that's right. I might be wrong because even though I'm apparently good at woodworking, when it comes to manual labour, I am not doing my Irish ancestry any favours whatsoever. But there we go. I'm sure everybody wants to hear that. How you doing, Sam? Looking resplendent in your sponsored T-shirt. I hope Tommy Hilfiger are giving us some cash for that.
I wish, giving them far too much of mine, but we should do, given how much money I've given them over the years for my Tommy Hilfiger.
You're a Tommy Hilfiger man, are you?
I am, yeah. They released
I've gone too, Dad.
They released a Tommy X Lewis range about 5 years ago, and I fell for it.
Did you buy your racing car that I sent you?
No, I haven't bought. I need to do. It's the sort of thing I might ask someone to buy for Christmas. That if you're listening, anti-lunch.
Evening, Wayne. Hope you're all right. Stephen,
are we just
really looking forward to this?
Are we just going to try and sort of spend as much time as possible talking about every other subject as opposed to the last hour of yesterday's game?
Right. The Swindon lad is coming on at 8:30, so we've got 28 minutes left to just delay it, and then we can go from there, and then we're fine. Highest XG in the EFL yesterday, Sam. I don't know if you saw that stat.
Yeah, I did. I quote tweeted it with saying just normal Grimsby Town things, really. I think it kind of lays bare that XG is, while it's useful and it's interesting, I think it's unwise to kind of say to look at XG and as the be all and end all, because
it's posh shots on target.
Although we did create a lot more chances yesterday than we had done previously, which is why it was so frustrating. One of the reasons it was so frustrating,
is it because we decided not to have a defence?
Yes, we decided not to have a defence. Nothing. It was well, yeah, but basically, if we're brutally honest about it, we've got two conference. Should we go live? Should we run the music? So Scott.
No, do we have to? Then it means it's officially started. Stephen Midday says Stockport v Wrexham was decent. Yeah, but my only worry is, Stephen, Wrexham put 3 past us, Stockport put 5 past Wrexham, and we've got Stockport in a couple of weeks.
we couldn't put any past Wrexham, the worst defence in the league, and we didn't even look like scoring against them. That in itself is as alarming as yesterday. I mean, I don't want to get kind of too down in the dumps on the back of yesterday, but I can go into more detail later on if you like. But there were certain elements of yesterday's performance that I really, really, really didn't care for.
It's not like you to get carried away, Sam.
What to be one scale to be one side of
the other, mate. I worry for you sometimes.
Yeah. Yes. Just, I mean,
and then
do you know what? And then the train on the way back.
I'm trying to make the comments for people to come in, and Sammy's just no railroading it. Viewers don't count. Shut up. This is my show. Filibustering the whole way. Grimsby Way says Crawley created a lot of chances for us. Simon says at least we got that second goal. We always seem to want to finish a team off. And HC Stormers going right in. Really need Waterfall out at this point. Wasting of a wage bill. It must be bad if a right back is getting in over a centre half. Wayne Clark says, first game of the season. I went to yesterday. We were really good for 30 minutes until they scored. Then our heads dropped. Really missing Mar and Rose. And the Grimsby Way is just, the face that Danilo Orsi is playing by just laughing his way to the bank. Sam, you're free.
Speak. Speak,
priest.
Speak, priest. Yeah. I mean, there is an element of me that says, I mean, I put in a group chat with one of my friends on the way on the way up yesterday, saying we're going to lose to a 96th minute Danilo Orsi winner, and I was completely right in every sense. He even got the minute right. So if that doesn't make it clear how predictable that was, then I'm not sure anything will if I can predict it right.
Look, the only benefit is that if you are now a betting man, you can bet on Town to score the first and then to lose, and you're making a bit of money. That's all you can do. Profit on the misery.
Profit off? No. I'm not. I don't gamble, fortunately, given my Well, I can't. Well, I don't want to. But I don't know. I was quite despondent on the train on the way back yesterday. And then normally you'd see the emotions diminish. I woke up this morning still pretty annoyed at what had happened yesterday, which is unlike me. I'm normally by the 20 sort of 12, 18 hours later feeling a little bit more sanguine about it. But I mean, there are some. So there's two parts to my intellect on this one, and I suspect in
he started already, Mike. We were saying we're going to take a while, and now he's all into it. He just he doesn't ask for agendas. He doesn't put stuff in. This is what I would quite like to talk about. He just goes. He's gone.
We haven't even rolled BT yet.
No, he's got, and he was the one who suggested it.
Should we talk about Scunny?
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
I don't think I've ever wanted to be in a stand more than my life around there. They're going crazy. Hey, they got a penalty here. There'll be fish flying about there. There's no tomorrow.
What a magnificent piece of football! A really, really good shot. You can't make it straight like that.
There you are. Town delighted at a 5-0 defeat. Are they delighted at a 3-2 defeat against NFT? Well, an NFT, that's all it is. They're worth nothing, but they certainly got 3 points. Grimsby Town lost to Crawley. And Danilo Orsi came back to avenge his critics, mostly the manager, and laughed all the way back down the M1. And Sam had already started, and we really want your thoughts on it as well. It was, quite a toxic atmosphere is probably a good word to describe it, though I think that probably gets overplayed now. There were quite some despondent people out there yesterday, so we want your thoughts in, because we are both too positive and too negative according to the criticism. So I guess that's all right. I think we're probably like the BBC now. We've got someone from the Greens on, and we've got Nigel Farage in the corner as well. So somewhere in between we can find the Goldilocks of the pod. I'm joined by Sam and Mike, and all of you guys will also be visited by the Loathe Stranger podcast in a bit to tell us about free score in Swindon and what we can expect on Saturday. And Sam is tapping his mic. I'm not sure why. He's just seeing if it's on. Let's have a look, see what other people have said before we start going. Jack says, I think Hurst time's up. Whoa, that's a start. Don't think he can take us any further than mid-table. Hoping Stockward isn't satisfied and does cut ties if it gets worse. Mark Walter, my good old friend, is not necessarily in the Hurst in camp. We made the tactical error of taking the lead. How many points have we dropped now? Get ready for the most defensive and boring performance at Swansea. Swansea, Mark, we haven't been promoted. Swindon. Stephen McDay says, I can't see any more Hurst out comments on social media. Absolutely ridiculous. Stephen, do you want us to start saying it on here or something just for entertainment? I mean, it's not something I believe, but we could do it just, to quench the thirst of some. Yeah. It's all right, Mike. Apology accepted. What are you apologizing for? Cool. I was laying a patio, so I didn't see the first goal. And then I got told off because Mariners TV did not work yesterday, which was great if you're paying 140 quid a season for it. You missed the first goal at least. And so I was watching a dodgy stream. And by the time I'd tweeted, that Issa had carved them apart, people were thinking it was a retaliation to their equaliser, I think, because it'd taken that quick for them to turn the tides. Sam, Mike, you had a better view of it than me. Please do take it away because I'm dying of man flu. Anyone would be great. Sam, I couldn't shut you up a minute ago. Go on.
I was a little bit after you, Claude, wasn't it? As I say, you think I should go first because I went to the game? Is that the only thing I would say? I'd sort of push back a little bit against the idea that the atmosphere was toxic, and prior to the 96th minute, it wasn't toxic or despondent at all. It's the crowd stayed with the players yesterday. Most of the kind of negativity was directed towards the referee rather than the players.
How bad was it? Because Hurst.
How was it?
Go on ahead.
I didn't think he was that bad. I mean, he wasn't great. There were a few oddities. I mean, the booking for Conte, which means he can't play next week, was just bloody ridiculous. I think he got booked for being Camille Conte there a little bit. He's obviously been flagged up in like some PGMOL refereeing things that he gets booked a lot. But it happened to Toto and it had to happen to Sean Pearson before, where you kind of get you get a reputation. But there was no standout poor decisions. I didn't see because in my seat, standing in the main stand, I couldn't see the penalty instance. It was buried behind a post, so I'm none the wiser on that one, I'm afraid.
Well, Hurst didn't want to talk about the referee, even though he spent 4 minutes of his 7-minute interview talking about him. So I don't know. He definitely felt there was an aggrievement. But even if we got the penalty, it would have still been 3-3, and after being 2-0 up.
And you probably missed it knowing our recent record as well, wouldn't we?
That's true.
Yeah, I think that's maybe a little bit smoke and mirrors. We shouldn't be having a conversation about getting a late equaliser yesterday. We're 2-0 up. We're absolutely cruising against what looked like a pretty poor side, frankly. We've let them back in the game by courtesy of our own ineptitude. It's fair to say we looked like we had 2 conference fullbacks yesterday. I said at the time I thought it looked like Harvey Rogers had been out on the piss the night before. He was all over the show. By far his worst game for us. And that's why I'm leaning towards the idea you can put this down to a little bit of a one-off. We are not going to take the lead, go 2-0 up in many games and lose them, especially as Rodgers and Conte played as poorly as they did. But like I said, the noise is all mainly on social media. Everybody around me in the main stand stayed with the team until the end of the game. There was a huge
apart from those who'd left. Yeah,
yeah, but that was only that was only the 96th minute, and that was so that argument doesn't bear scrutiny. I don't know. Do you want to get involved in the Hurst discussion? And we'll end up saying exactly the same things that we've said before about subs, about negativity, about this, about that, about the other. We all think what we think.
What I think was most frustrating with yesterday is we seem to have corrected some of the things that we've had a problem with over the last couple of weeks. So, as we've said earlier, highest XG doesn't really mean anything. It's just a stat, isn't it? But we were getting the ball into the box more, getting more shots on target and creating more. What is then frustrating is the thing that you would ordinarily before the start of the season think Paul Hurst teams do is we just want to absolute pot defensively. Now, I didn't see any of the goals in the first half. Unfortunately, as soon as I turned it on, it was 2-2. So, can't really talk to those. But the goal we conceded in the last minute, I had to walk off. And I don't get that annoyed by results. You take them, you win some, you lose some, you draw some. You're good, you're shit, you're a bit mediocre. But yesterday, so infuriating, to be 2-0 up at home and to concede 2 goals in the first half so quickly to poor defending. And then in the last minute to just switch off. And there's so much wrong with that goal. You can point out Glenn, and yes, he is wrong, but there's other things wrong with it as well.
Harry Clifton, you can look at him.
Yeah, you can look at loads of stuff. And you can look at loads of stuff throughout the entire game. And what is annoying is that isn't how Paul Hurst sides play. Now, you want to get into the Paul Hurst discussion later, that's fine. What I would say is if that starts becoming the norm last week and this week, then there is something wrong. Because you don't consider Paul Hurst teams to be that weak as piss, to be honest with you. And that's what they were yesterday defensively. Absolutely terrible. And as I say, the last time I think I was this annoyed was Hartlepool last season, when we didn't change it and they came back in and we lost. And it's similar to that. And we just cannot fix a problem of not creating enough, but that comes at the expense of not conceding. You know, you have to fix both of them. Yeah, you can't, you know, it's no good going and scoring 2 goals and then conceding 3. You know, so we have to sort that out and find a middle ground where we're not creating, but we're not leaking goals like sieves at the back. And yesterday, I've never been so frustrated with the result than for quite a while. So I understand where a lot of the frustration has come from in the ground and on social media. Whether you want to then progress that argument to a bigger argument about Paul Hurst, I'm not quite sure, but I definitely understand where the anger comes from.
That's the thing, isn't it? The debate can be part, but there's a decent chance we'll ship a shed load got more goals next week at Swindon that they score for fun, and then I think the noise will ramp up a little bit. But I think maybe it's just the ones who are noisy get noisier, rather than anyone new jumping on the bandwagon, as it were. I mean, yeah, I think you're right, Mike. That if we're in the next month, we keep shipping a load more goals, maybe there's a conversation to be had. But it's been made pretty clear by Jason Andrew, not just from their rhetoric, but kind of look at the winter of 2021, 2022 as evidence that it will have to get pretty bloody bad before they start thinking about it, which is right in my opinion.
I don't think we were that poor defensively though. We weren't shipping 6 or 7 goals in 2 games. As best as my knowledge was, it was 1-0s, 2-1s, draws. You know, it wasn't throwing away 2-goal leads and losing 4-0 away.
No, we lost 1 game by more than the odd goal in that run.
That's what I mean. In that run, you could see it's fine margins. At the minute, the last 2 games, you can't say it's fine margins, really.
No, you can say it's ineptitude yesterday. That's the word I would use, just defensive ineptitude.
And I'm happy to let that roll for a little bit, because what I said last week or the week before doesn't change because of 1 game, because that would be madness if you just your opinion suddenly changed after 1 game and 1 bad performance, sort of writing Wrexham off a little bit. But if that continues, then you do get into the realms of you need to have a discussion, I think.
My problem with Hurst is he is absolutely terrible at arresting a bad run of form. We saw that in the National League. We saw that a little bit last season as well, where he just doesn't seem to have that ability to turn it that quickly. I don't think Jason and Andrew, and I guess Debbie will be in the discussion, will be even contemplating getting rid of him. I think they will act quickly when they see that the atmosphere and the attitude in the training ground has changed, and I think that's what would necessitate a change. It wouldn't be the results on the pitch, which we saw in the National League. My worry is that there are a lot of fans who just don't like Hurst. They just don't like it, and I don't understand their point at times. They almost act with glee that Hurst is failing and that the club is failing. And whatever you may say about Hurst, if you don't like him, that's absolutely fine. But he's the most successful manager we've had since Buckley. And you should show him a bit of fucking respect, because he has done things at this club that were unachievable before this. The quarterfinals of the FA Cup is ridiculous. It might be embarrassing, but the highest league position in 17 years was an achievement. You might not like the fact that it was a 12th, 11th, wherever the fuck it was, but there are managers that have come and gone, the ones that you've all welcomed in with open arms, the fucking hollow words, the Slades and the like, and they haven't gone anywhere close to it, and they fucked it. And to enjoy the team struggling and not starting on the right foot is I think incredibly disappointing, and it says more about you as a Town fan and a person than it does about anything else. I don't enjoy the way that some people have gone with glee to talk about it. I'm very much in the camp of I think he has the ability to turn this around. I worry that he hasn't necessarily learned from some of his past failings. He's not very reactive tactically, and I'm worrying, as now Mike has said, the one thing about Hurst teams was it was about character, and whether or not now he's had a little bit of cash and he now can make a decision on, actually, I'll bring in some talented players in, and I'll bring in some talented players in, might not necessarily be the greatest, mentally speaking, and that might be a digression, but this run is massively concerning because it just shows that they're totally and utterly mentally weak. They are the Man United of, League Two. The second they score, someone scores against them, their heads go down. And I tell you something, Rich is already on from Swindon. He's going to fucking love it next week, because it could be an absolute bloodbath. It could be exactly as similar as it was to when we went last year.
Just to pick up on that, Alex, I agree with absolutely everything you've said there, buddy. We've said before, there is obviously an inherent problem that a section of our fan base have with Paul Hurst, right? And the problem that then creates is with people like me, that I don't necessarily think I'm a Paul Hurst in bloke. I'm just I trust the bloke from what I've seen him do, and he's always going to get the benefit of the doubt with me until it gets to a point where it's quite obvious that something's wrong, because I've seen him do it before. He's got history, he's got proven results, and that's what you use to draw your judgment. The problem is that if you're one game into a season and it's all anti-Hurst, or it's pre-season and it's anti-Hurst, or it's the end of the season and we've won 3 on the bounce at home, but you're still anti-Hurst, if you try and have a conversation with people like me that I think are probably quite fair and pragmatic about it, you're instantly going to get us to shut up sort of shop, because nobody's going to take a point of view that is never different. So one example I used yesterday is, if this continues for 6 weeks, 2 months, maybe longer, maybe shorter, depends, I will change my mind. If Paul Hurst gets us promoted, some people will not change their mind. And that's the problem, that there is this inherent hatred of Paul Hurst, which sort of get magnified on social media. And then you end up having a discussion about Paul Hurst in or out long before any normal fan base would with any normal manager, because of that noise.
And that's the problem as well, isn't it? That massive disparity between people allows no room for constructive criticism. It's not, I was, look at I was told I was too positive and too negative in terms of Bradford. Against Bradford, he fucked up. It was 35-degree heat. He made 2 substitutions. Who the fuck do you think you are? Terry Venables in the Euro 96 semi-final. Which, by the way, if anyone knows, he never made a substitution in that game. Fucking madness. But not that I've got over it. It just removes any form of decent discussion, because you get to a point where you go, yeah, Alex, I agree with you. Fucking Hurst out. Yeah, let's put him on a Viking boat and, fire a flame arrow at it as it escapes down the Humber. It shouldn't be about that. It should be about conversation going, this team has at times excelled and played really well and has played some really nice stuff, and for a point yesterday was sailing with it. What is going wrong with it mentally? Is it because he's making so many changes? Is it because he didn't get in who he wanted? Is it simply down to the fact there are so many freaking clubs in this league that are spaffing the cash around that you can't get a half decent striker? And so when Danny Rose is injured, you're fucked. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what's really strange about yesterday in particular, really. As I said, I don't think, because even at 2-2 at half time, I still thought, I was sitting there, I didn't say anything because I don't want to kind of tempt fate, but I'm sitting there thinking, I still think we'll win this game pretty comfortably. We look a lot better than they do. So it was the surprise of the season, really, when they scored that late winner. I just didn't feel it coming at all, other than sort of inherent pessimism. But so let's get into that kind of. So you can criticise Hurst without being Hurst out. I think which is essentially what you're saying, is that you can't. If you criticise Hurst, you Hurst out, is what some people are saying.
It's never an extreme. There's a middle ground which seems to get vacated so often.
It's very position is a thing, isn't it? And he'll be aware of it as much as anybody. In the same way, holding on to leads is a problem.
And it's worth saying yesterday, I don't know what Sam, you were there. That first goal, I think he flunked it. I think he fluked it. I thought he was trying to get it to the guy.
No League Two player, Trent Alexander-Arnold couldn't do that. Let alone a bloody League Two also ran. Yeah, so yeah, that's a fluke. I know some people want to say, it's deliberate. He must be caught off his line. He had his worst game as well yesterday. That's the other thing I think you say. A lot of players had their worst game for the club yesterday. As I said, I'm kind of writing off Wrexham because they got 10 times the budget in a form to bring Stephen Fletcher off the bench. But the budget thing that argument doesn't work in individual games. Like, you can't use there's 15 teams better than us in this league against Crawley. When you 2-0 up against Crawley, I mean, I know you say no disrespect, and I'm disrespecting them here. you should be holding on to that without really much difficulty. And we made it bloody hard work for ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, the budget argument is just something people throw out when they've had a bad game, and it's ridiculous because I don't think anybody could hand on heart make an argument that our team is not technically better than it was last year. Now, you can argue about how it's performing as a squad or how it's playing, but you cannot, I don't think, honestly argue that we haven't invested and we haven't invested wisely. You know, have the argument about if we need more, but what we've got is good, I think. But it's also
there's one player I'm not massively.
Well, yeah, but you got to get that. But yeah, you're talking about Pike, and you're probably comparing him with an under 21 loan.
Also,
I'm comparing him to Terry Taylor at the moment.
But what I would say
that's unfair, Alex. That's unfair. He's had 2 games playing a role he's not used to. I think you're jumping the gun a little bit on him. I mean, he had 2 easy chances yesterday he made a mess of, but he's getting up to speed. I'm unwilling to write him off yesterday. On the other hand of that, Abu Isa's a cut above this level and is way, way, way too good for everybody.
It is interesting. I mean, I'm the same with Pike. I mean, I don't think I've not really got an opinion on him yet. I'll let him have a bit of a crack and then make an opinion. But what I was going to say is talking about Hurst. It's interesting how
Mike. I'm really sorry. Can I just say something? Because I'm going to do you. Alex. I owe you an apology. Pike is shite. Sam Barrack 15-20 yesterday.
That's because he goes to the extremes. It's all or nothing. He's an emotional mess. But
hold on a second. That's bloody mutually assured destruction if that bloody WhatsApp group gets leaked after. I'm there.
Yeah, it's interesting how narratives take effect, because what you get thrown at a lot now is that Hurst is an inherently negative manager. Now, he might be slightly more pragmatic than most, but he's not a negative manager. You know, we don't have a team of 6'5" rolling around on the floor, playing for set pieces, 11 behind the ball. Yeah, so
on that, I saw somebody genuinely suggest we appoint Andy Woodman on Twitter last night. If you want 6'5" rolling around on the floor,
fucking love that. It would be hilarious. I would
support
Hurst out. The Hurst out campaign would pale it into insignificance for the amount of abuse I would give that fat bastard. It would be hilarious.
I'd go and support
first game of the season.
I couldn't do it. I'd have to go and support somebody else. I'd be putting the banner up the moment he was appointed. That happened. Someone, especially Steve Evans, as well today. I mean, I would literally
just have a line of candy to the Oriental Express all you can eat, and then trap Woodman in a box. That's literally all I would do.
There's a literal tweet there that someone. Sorry, Mike, I cut you off there.
What one final thing is I really do think the narrative and the negative thing that people say about Hurst is football and things, right? If you actually look in it, like I have done, I don't think it's borne out by the stats, right? I get he's a little bit more pragmatic than some at times, but I think maybe that was more in his first role. I don't think he's like that now. And I'm quite happy to die. It's the bridge I will die on and have that discussion with anybody, that I don't think Paul Hurst is an inherently really negative manager. The football we play isn't negative. I don't think how we act is negative. I think at times we just can't do what he wants us to do, and that is a problem.
Okay, you finished? You finished?
No.
Okay, I'm finished. Right, don't worry. We get to pay 27. We get to pay 27 quid to watch us get battered by fucking Swindon. So Rich will be telling us exactly how many goals It's a Joke will be scoring and whatever else. The only thing I like about Swindon is the mirror of the 2 teams on the scoreboard. Other than that, we'll see. Shall we?
So that's the final action of the game, which means Grimsby Town are back in the Football League just a year after those awful scenes.
Rich joins us from the Loathe Strangers podcast. You know, the crazy roundabout of injustice that is Swindon Town. Rich, how is it going in the southwest? Can't sound the southwest.
Well, yeah. Well, I deem Wiltshire to be a part of the West Country, but I'm not entirely sure.
Do the West Country not want you?
Well, who does want the borough of Swindon? I'm not from the borough of Swindon, so I'm allowed to say that, I suppose. But I always say it's the gateway to the West Country and where you want to draw your boundaries. I feel a bit sad talking about Swindon because I was enjoying that. I was on the edge of my seat listening to some ranting, and I loved every second of it, gentlemen. I hope we're all well.
Don't worry, we'll be enjoying it.
I do have to apologise to Swindon because I'm meant to go to a work conference in 2 weeks in Swindon, and I wrote back that there is no way in this earth I'm going to Swindon for any reason. So sorry, all of Swindon there.
I look, Swindon is it's a nice little ground. They rip us blind because, it's 10 quid to park and then 25 quid to, get in. What is the price of that? Is that something you guys have to endure? Because that is outrageous.
Yeah, we're all getting ripped on that front. So, and it's not an anti-Grimsby agenda. So if essentially
you kindly once made it £19.94, I think it was when we played there once, because it was
for the Premier League thing or something like that. Yeah, 1993, maybe 94. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like if you're not a season ticket holder, if you're a pay on the day fan for the side stands, you're paying silly amounts. So they went all in on the season tickets and tried to force that by saying, well, we're going to charge you a lot on the day. So we get it as well. I'm not entirely sure if it's identical, but it's not an acceptable rate. But I'm not here to slag them off. I do that on my own pod. Come on.
Well, someone's got to. Look, last time we played you guys were rampant. You'd got some overweight bloke from Australia to come over. He ripped us to pieces. You hit the post like 11 times. And, we were 5-0 down. Some of us expecting a 5.5-hour journey home, as some spotty Swindon teenagers were giving it the good old middle finger at us, and rightly so. What's it like at the moment? It looks like you're pretty free scoring, aren't you?
Yeah, I missed the 5-0 last season because of flooding between Bristol Temple Meads and Bath Spa, which I wasn't aware of. So it's a pretty bleak day for me on a personal level because it was our performance of the season. It's been a good start to the season for Swindon. Free scoring, but we do like to concede goals too. So I was listening to you before. Yeah, we'll score if we're playing like we have been, but we'll also give chances away also, which is what's been happening. Mostly away, but our home form is good fun at the moment.
Are you the only undefeated team in the league now?
No, Mansfield. I think it's us and Mansfield that are unbeaten in the division.
Oh yeah.
So
we played them twice. Wonderful. That's probably why.
And I'm not. I'm not like the most rose-tinted Swindon fan in the world, but there is a pretty strong argument that we are
definitely winning the league,
completely unbeaten this season so far, because the games we've drawn. So we got a point at Doncaster. They went down to 10 men before halftime. Opening day of our season against Crewe, we were 2-0 up and through a 2-goal lead. Wrexham 5-3 up in injury time, threw away that lead. And even this weekend against Morecambe, we were 2-1 up with Morecambe down to 10 men in the last 15 minutes or so too. So there is a strong argument that we could have been completely 100%, but hasn't happened, unfortunately.
It sounds like it's going to end at 5-5 and no one wants to keep a lead.
It's chaos sometimes.
Mike, are you looking forward to it? Swindon beat Crawley 6-0. Obviously, we lost 3-2 to them yesterday. Are you looking forward to a 9-2 defeat?
That's far too much maths for me to comprehend what the result's going to be. To be honest,
I did add 6-3.
The Crawley game was odd because that game could have been 3-0 at halftime. They had some proper, like when I say 3, they've had proper chances. When you see them late and you go, well, he's got some work to do there, and it's not that bad. 3 really, really, really good opportunities to score against us, and then they just fell apart in the second half. And I think anyone as a neutral would have been watching that was going, that was no way a 6-0 game. It was great. I had a great day, but it was bizarre because the first half we were poor and they were quite okay, and then it just went crazy in the second 45, which was lovely.
Quite interesting what happened last season, because I know we went down to 10 men when it was 1-0, and then you marmalised us thereafter. But you had that Calm bloke and Williams in midfield, and Austin up front, and there's the right back who looks a cut above. What happened thereafter if you went to end up on the same number of points as us? Because you looked way better than we did.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just the return of the "it's a joke, man," as Alex referenced him there. I don't know if it was just Charlie Austin's return and the fact that really was a big moment for a lot of Swindon Town fans, but the season was inconsistent throughout. We weren't great all season long, and that was probably the high point. It just all clicked that day, I think, more than anything. We started with Crawley's manager, Scott Lindsay, who started okay, but I spent a lot of the first half of last season, or the Scott Lindsay tenure, going, we're just squeezing past teams. Some of these games we do not deserve to win, and instead of just enjoying these 1-0 wins, I spent all that time. And then we upgraded to, oh goodness me,
Mad Gav Gunning.
Mad Gav Gunning, who had a really good, him and Steve Mildenhall as joint caretaker bosses, had
both former Grimsby players, brilliant.
Yeah. Well, Mildy's ours. He's Swindon born and bred, so you know.
You can keep him. It's fine. He was celebrating too much when they Bristol Rovers beat us. So,
well, there we go. Yeah, he does like Bristol Rovers. Nobody's perfect. Yeah, so we had Mad Gav, who is he still there? He is, but he's not in the first team coaching setup. He now looks after the under-18s loan players. So I don't know what relationship. I don't know who got him a job at Swindon, but Mike Flynn came in and went, I don't want him in the coaching setup.
Look, there are clubs. I think we've got a half decent setup nowadays, but someone is employed at Swindon to look after under-18s on loan. Is that what, outside of the club to, whatever local grounds there would be near you guys? Yeah.
And I think we've only got one at Northley at the moment as well. So it's not as if we've got 7 or 8 of them out. It's really odd. And he's he's doing defensive coaching for the under-18s as well.
Just lots of two-footed tackles.
Lots of two-footed.
That sounds like a non-job, that does.
Mm.
Yeah, how happy are you with Mad Gav Gunning being the example you're giving to your under-18s?
Oh, don't worry, Mad Gav took the kids up.
We're doing all right in the under-18s. And he had
75 red cards.
He had a ridiculously good record as our co-caretaker boss for those 2 spells. It was either 100% or certainly unbeaten, and loads of goals. It was great. It was great, but I don't think he's a tactician in any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, how do I feel about it? It's Mad Gav, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. He's an interesting one. Michael Flynn has always been a bit of a divisive character, especially at the end for Newport. He was quite divisive. Well, how is he sort of settled in at Swindon? You guys have got a fair few talented players in your ranks, so our expectations high this season. I mean, it's not unlike Swindon to have a couple of Benito Carbonis or whatever it was, DeCanio and whatever.
Yeah, we've been nice to have Benito Carboni. No, I think when he was appointed, I think we all assumed that we were going to play long ball, hoof, and sign about 6 Newport players, and none of that has come into fruition so far. So we didn't sign any former Newport players, and we've been playing football on the ground throughout and playing quite a nice attacking brand of football. So we're unbeaten, so it'll be very, very hard to criticize him. He's getting a bit narky with the local press, suggesting that they're looking for negatives, which isn't true. It's a really weird narrative at the moment. About 2 fans online have criticized Charlie Austin, and the club have just gone all in on Charlie being.
Is Mad Gav running the social media? Is that what it is?
I expect a knock on the door and for it to be Mad Gav and to give me a threat or 2. No, it's really weird. Everybody knows that although he's not scoring loads of goals, his contribution to the team on and off is 100% a very positive thing. And they do say that people double up on Charlie Austin. I've not seen that, especially at the county ground this year, but he doesn't play as a number 9, really. He plays much deeper. He runs around. He's hard working. He does draw people, and it allows Kemp and Young to do their thing, which has been the big success of this season. That's the most successful thing. The loan moves, bar one, have been very successful in Jake Young from Bradford, who I don't think he expected to be a starter. And then Dan Kemp, I don't know what MK Dons and what he and MK Dons did to fall out, but why he's on loan to firstly Hartlepool and then to us is ridiculous because he's a very good footballer.
Did he question the validity of the? Did he question the validity of the football club existing?
Yeah, he's like when Saturday Comes magazine. He doesn't recognise MK Dons. It was one big.
I don't even know who I'm getting paid.
Yeah, he was just like, I didn't realise this. I thought it was just the Winkleman Fund or something. Yeah.
Look on the bright side, lads. He said they signed no Newport players. It could be worse, Alex. They could have signed Bogle. And we could have played
broken my bloody heart. That would have done. Broken my bloody heart. Oh well, he's never coming back. He's going to release more shit music instead.
Oh, so Dan Kemp scored a hat-trick against us for Hartlepool at the back end of last season. So great, we get to play against him again. Why am I going next? Why am I going next week? Someone help me. I don't want to go.
Is the cricket? The only thing I want to know is the cricket club open? Because at least that's a £5 to park. I'm not having to, spend £10 to park at Swindon.
I should think the parking at the cricket ground is okay. I think it should be.
Yeah,
Bruce is coming. There goes the neighbourhood.
Dad got that last year, so it should be. It's a racket, that place, though. Full stop.
It's a good old ground. I'd quite like to stand in the open terrace bit if it's nice. I'd quite like to be in there instead of in the pit with all the kids.
You want to stand in that bit when it inevitably. If you want to do that, go to Stockport.
Well, yeah, or Bromley. Who doesn't like standing in the pissing rain in West London? Don't worry, Rich. If you think that was ranty, you should have seen after Bromley. Christ. Anyway,
Woodman.
How can we get at you? What can we?
So we play a 3-5, well, a 3-4-1-2, and if you counter, you'll find space. That will happen, and if you've got pace in attack, you will find the opportunity. I think ultimately
East has got pace. East has got God, we're straw clutching already. This ain't good.
I think Swindon. I think Flynn has come to the conclusion of just like this division. As long as you score 3, 4, or 5, you're gonna get a point or 3. And it's unfair because our back 3 are quite solid. We've played the same 11 pretty much for the majority of the season. I could tell you that we don't have the squad to rotate at the moment. We've got probably a decent 14-person squad, and then the rest are just ready to come on if there's injuries. He does not play the 5 subs at the moment. He plays his 11 with 2 coming on. That
sounds very familiar.
Yeah, and Flynn is saying that he's probably not going to strengthen until January, but they're. If you want my conspiracy theory hat, I think it's more a case of them not having the budget to bring in the players he wants, as opposed to like him keeping on saying, I'm not going to just sign any old person. Well, at the moment, before the winter draws in, we've got 11 players plus 2 others maybe. So it's a risky game. It's working at the moment, but there's no way surely Swindon can get to January with no injuries and suspensions.
It's all going to come crashing down on Saturday. And you're going to
you know what? This screams Harry Cardwell falling outside the box.
Oh, that was rubbish.
We needed that.
That bloke's a Premier League referee now, and everyone wonders why VAR's shit.
It was nailed on. It was diabolical. Could have killed him.
Yeah,
it could have.
Well, it was a hard surface that could have hurt him. Falling. That was
abrasive.
Yeah.
Could have killed him.
Got a grass burn here.
Most people even inside the box. That's the bit that gets me. It was
absolutely terrible. It was the amazing. It was incredible. But all good to them. We survived another year for no particular reason and got relegated the next season. So it was totally worth it. But Rich, do you know what? It's a bit cheesy asking for predictions and stuff because who knows? It does scream Town, like the way we are. It does scream a 1-0 Town win. Just really shitty.
Yeah. And it's due to happen eventually, isn't it? I mean, it's something's going to happen. We're going to games at the moment wondering. We beat our last win at the county ground was a nice professional 2-0 victory. And everyone walked out going, it was good because it was a nice professional 2-0 victory. But that 5-3 or those 5-0, 6-0s are much better, aren't they? So
shouting boring.
Well, we scored really early and we dominated, and we just scored a second later in the game, and that was that. It was a nice, lovely day in mild temperatures. I mean, it could be. It sounds like you're in an awful space at the moment, so you're all going to go there ready with your manager out, owner out, blankets, and then suddenly get a unlikely 1-0 win and have to fold them up politely.
We're not in that bad a space, but
Sam, there are some people that have got it already. Someone took it off the flyover, I imagine, and took it home with them.
It did rather sound like, though, Rich, that you were debating what scoreline you would beat us, whether it was 2-0 or 6-0. That's
no, I don't like doing the buns. If we play the attack, listening to what you're saying, and if we play to our capability going forward, we're going to score a couple of goals minimum. But we are we're in the
lead. If we don't take the lead, we'll be all right. So when we take the lead,
it's a lead. Any lead is dangerous lead for us. But at least we might get to see a ref knocked unconscious again. So it's not a bad thing.
And I missed that as well. God, I was really angry that I even missed. I missed the referee getting
a perfect Swindon game. Rich, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for giving us a dose of medicine. Enjoy Saturday, because we probably won't.
No problem. Thank you very much.
No, that's all right. Have a great day. See you later, mate.
Take care.
Bruce is here.
Bruce, can you make us cheer up a bit, please?
Oh, it's fine.
Well, have I missed anything?
Not really. We're just moaning.
The end of
How did you feel about it yesterday?
How did I feel about it yesterday? It was really comfortable at 2-0, and they were shit, and we should have won, and we lost, and we were shit, and I don't really feel very good about it at the moment. I think we've got a team of triers again, but we lack quality.
That's interesting, because I'd say we've got more quality, especially on the ball, in terms of our positional play and in possession than we had before. But there's a soft underbelly to us that's not been there before under a Hurst side.
My favourite thing there is Bruce said we were comfortable at 2-0, which lasted 2 minutes.
Yeah, but they were awful. They were really, really bad, and we talked them into that game. They were just not good. It's like we couldn't believe that they were in 6th place in the league. They're 4th now, and I mean they've got nothing away from home. Yesterday was very sobering for me.
Well, why was that then? What did you find sobering about it?
We scored 2 goals, but we don't score routine tap-ins. We don't create anything. All of our goals are either a rocket or they're an individual piece of brilliance.
Or off someone's ass.
How often do we score a goal where we've just we do a couple of passes, somebody gets it to the bar line, they pull it back and somebody taps it in? Bradford. When do we score goals like that? We just don't.
The 2 goals against Gillingham were proper goals, and the one against Bradford was a proper goal. But apart from that, you're right. And
what would we do with that, Issa?
Yeah, what would we do with that? This is what I mean about it. I think it's more worrying than some of us are kind of wanting to believe, if you like. I mean, we talked at the start of the season about challenging for the play. I think you can forget that. I just don't see it. I think there are so many teams who are better than us in this league. And then you ally that. And then you ally
a long way off. I don't think we can discount it just yet.
And then you ally that to the soft underbelly that I've talked about. We ain't going to get many points.
No, yeah, but again, that's one extreme to the other, Sam. I think 2 weeks ago we weren't having these conversations. There were different conversations about not creating enough chance. We weren't saying the team's weak as shit, we're not going to get many points. So I think throughout the season we're going to have some ups and downs. And what is concerning is how big a down this is and how representative it is of how we're going to be. I do remember times last season where we had these, and then we beat Stockport, 1-0 or 2-0, and we got a couple of results. So I'm still where I was a couple of weeks ago. I'm quite happy to see where we are in a couple of weeks, have more of an understanding than now. But it's how long is this going to be an issue?
I just feel like we're a team with short trousers. We can't cover both, so we can't be creative, because and also B, defensively sound. You know, when you pull up short trousers, you can either cover your ankles or you can cover your arse. You can't cover both. And I think that's where we are. I just don't think we've got it. And my thing is I do agree, but to a point, I've got a couple of red flags in my head now. I think the manner of defeat yesterday was pretty poor. I think and I also, as I've said a number of times, one thing I love about Hurst is he watches the same game I do. So when I have the interview, I'm listening to someone who is giving an honest assessment of what he's just seen on the pitch. I don't think I heard that yesterday. I thought I saw a man scrambling for answers and trying to deflect.
I've always thought historically that I agree with you, Alex, that when the manager is agreeing with what the majority, not everybody, but the majority of the fans that are watching the same game, they're all right. When they start watching a game that's different and coming out with different answers to the majority of fans, and I'm not talking one or two, but the majority, then I think there's an issue. But I maintain, I said from the start that if we're not look like we're moving forward, we're not going in the right direction by Christmas, then maybe. But I just don't see anything in this squad, and I hope I'm proven wrong, that is going to drastically change what we're seeing now. Yes, we might get a couple of players back, but we've had players in and out the team since the start of the season. Yes, we haven't had Rose and Wilson together, and we've had Khan missing. I thought that was a bonus yesterday. Khan getting 75 minutes or whatever he played, because he looked all right on the ball. But I just think, like the lad from Swindon that you just had on said, I think you get outside of 11 or 12 of our players and the others just don't look like they're going to make a difference.
The players we've been with us declined, it seems. It's the players who we've had for a while, or apart from a couple of examples, that like Glennon and Waterfall and even Alex Hunt. I mean, God knows what Kieran Green will look like in a side that's meant to pass the ball. That are struggling this season. Another thing we've not talked about is our set pieces, which I think have been really poor this season. We scored one against Gillingham, and that was a bit of a fluke, I think. We've not looked threatening from them at all, which again is a sort of another sign of like losing a bit of belief. It's all sort of hopeful punts into the box. I don't know what anyone thinks about that, so we're getting bogged down in detail there a little bit.
I've always thought Hurst was really shit at set pieces anyway, to be perfectly honest. I thought our corner game has always been really weak, but I haven't seen an improvement or
It was pretty good hunt to Waterfall, wasn't it? It was pretty good hunt to Waterfall in the conference.
Yeah, that's fair.
He used to come over and have a word with him, and we scored 2 or 3. I know it's not loads, but we scored 2 or 3 goals. But I agree with Sam. This season, I just think that we look like we're lacking for a team that's going to challenge. I'm not saying we're going to struggle, but for a team that's going to challenge, we lack the quality. If we put a good ball in, there's nobody there. We get 2 or 3 in the box, and we put a shit delivery in. And it's the same with set pieces, like Sam says. We don't look like we're going to... The centre-backs, Malarkey and Rodgers yesterday. Rodgers, I saw a few people say that they thought he had his worst game yesterday. They were playing that long ball, as you saw it as well. They were playing that long ball over the top, sort of into the space between Rodgers and Eastwood. And he had to turn. But in the air, Rodgers won. I thought he won absolutely everything again. But we don't win it in their box when we're on set pieces. It's just, I don't know. We just don't look. I know we scored 2 goals yesterday, but haven't we got the worst XG in the league? And I don't even know I know what expected goals, but I don't really know the stats and the data behind it. But
we had the best in the Football League yesterday, Bruce.
We had the best in the football. Bollocks, is all that does.
We had the best in the entire Football League yesterday.
But didn't we have the worst average before that? I saw, it could be wrong. It should be wrong data, but I saw one of the town fan accounts post that we had the lowest XG in the top 4 in the league.
Was it a racist stat? No. Cool. Richard Young says there seems to be a lack of real physicality in the team as well. When we go up for corners, we always look like we've been towered over. Maybe it's just a Hurst thing.
I think we do get into a little bit dangerous territory when we have as bad and as upsetting and as angry as a result it was yesterday. We may try and overthink things a little bit. I don't think a couple of weeks ago, as I said, we were having these discussions. So, it might be true, but it might just be they're just being really shit at the minute. And, players can get better, players can be coached better, players can perform better. So I think we just, it was shit yesterday. And if it continues to be like that, then there's an issue. I just think sometimes we need to just maybe think, hopefully it's not going to be that way. And the XG thing shows you what rubbish it is. We win games with a low XG and we lose games with a high XG. So I don't really think it has much sway on how a team performs.
Suggest we
We
had
the fourth or fifth highest in League Two last season, and everyone said that we didn't create any chances of scoring any goals last season. So I think people now going, "Oh, XG, it's the all-in," just kind of forcing an argument down your throat, really. I'm looking at how many goals we scored, and how many chances we created, how many saves we forced the keeper to make.
We don't look like, and I don't think we've looked like for the last couple of seasons, though. Do you ever think we're going to put? And somebody might pull out a figure that we did once, but do we look like a team that's going to put 4 or 5 past anybody ever? I thought yesterday was a perfect opportunity at 2-0. Somebody near me said, if we want 4 or 5 today, we can get them. And 5 minutes later, we're 2-2.
Here's a question for you, Bruce. Because this is why, even at 2-2 at half time, I still was pretty confident we'd come through and win the game. I didn't have any. We had this discussion, but you were off. Was that your emotion as well?
Yeah, Maisie said we'd win 4-2, and I didn't disagree with her, and I think that was a reflection of how shit Crawley were, and we let them beat us. I don't think they were a good side at all. That's my personal opinion. That keeper looked ropey as, and how many saves did he have to make?
I don't think I've seen us do that to a team back in the Football League, Bruce. But, I mean, this season I've seen us look like we could, but we haven't. Gillingham, I think they didn't create anything. I think we had a good couple of chances to make that 3, 4, 5. I think Salford we could have got 1 or 2 more. And yesterday, before we collapsed, we maybe could have done. So I don't think it's a fact we don't look like we're going to. It's a fact we look like we just can't do it. I think I've seen enough there to think we're going to be able to do that sort of thing, but we just haven't. So there's 3 games this season I think we've looked like we could if we wanted to.
And we don't seem, like you say, we seem either incapable or we don't take the handbrake off.
It's incapable. I don't think it's a handbrake thing, because after Salford and after Gillingham, one of the first things Paul Hurst said is we needed to get that next goal to kill that game off. I've not heard him say, it was comfortable at 2 and that was it. I think it's an incapability rather than an unwillingness to do it.
So do you think so are you criticising the recruitment there then?
No, I think incapable doesn't mean you're not incapable all the time. It means at the time you was incapable. So I think as this team develops, we will have the answer to whether it's a fundamental skill issue or if it's a thing where at those times they weren't able to do it. And I think you're a bit too early in the season to be able to have a round judgment either way, whether they're great or whether they're shit. And I think as me and you've said, towards Christmas time, you'll have a really good indication. Is it a skill problem? We're just not good enough. Or is it a cohesion, a training, a mentality problem?
We're mentally weak. It's done. I don't understand why you need till Christmas. The writing is there. We've done 9 games. We've had the long preseason that everyone was begging for last season, and they're just mentally weak. The second that we concede, we go to shit. We shit our bricks. And I don't know if it's a lack of leadership because you had a team yesterday without Greenlaw, without Marr on the pitch. I don't know. Waterfall without on the pitch as well. The lack of leadership maybe on the pitch is probably an issue, and whether Harry Clifton and I guess Holohan are probably the guys you're looking to in that team to lead, maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
Was there a lack of leadership in that team? I don't think there was.
I thought we were quite quiet, and I thought we were quite quiet. And when the goals went in yesterday, you looked around the pitch, and I thought we were quite quiet. I will just say, going back to Sam's point, and apologies because I've joined late and we're doubting about, but Sam's point about the players that were here before, I actually thought that Holohan was our best player yesterday.
I was going to say that actually. With a couple of exceptions, he was the exception.
I think when he plays well, I think we play well. And what he does is he does the little simple things really well. He'll get the ball in a tight area and he'll give it to somebody. Yes, sometimes they'll fuck it up, but he'll get it and he does it simple. Quick, a couple of times in the middle of the park, Sam, somebody's tight on him and he just does a quick step to the left and a step to the right, and he's got that yard of space that he needs to make the pass then. And I thought he did. I thought yesterday, we didn't hardly notice Harry. And I mean, Harry had a great season last season. You know, he's a decent player at this level, but we didn't notice him on the ball a lot yesterday. I don't know what you thought watching it.
Yeah, I think he's. I think maybe we're kind of with Harry. He had a really, really, really good season last season, and maybe we're holding him to too high a standard because he maybe performed above his natural ability last season. I mean, they're doing a disservice there, but he's not started this season anything like the level he was at last season. He's playing a different sort of role. He's more central. He's more advanced, and it doesn't seem like that's suiting him. The ball from Gav to Issa that ends up in the goals will let Issa and running through his man is the ball from Gav's really good because he's won the ball. He's always at his man. I think there's a case to say Holohan's been our best player actually so far this season, despite the fact he didn't start the first couple of games of the season. But it looks yesterday, if you say we know Rodgers is better, it looked like we had 3 conference players playing in defence with him.
Right, so these are some of the things that people have said. No, not that one. Stephen Day says, long way to go, and let's see at Christmas what position we're in. Fucking hell, Stephen, that's a long way to go then. Takes a while I don't think it takes that long to assess a squad, if I'm being entirely honest. Richard Young says, when they equalised, we stopped pressing from the front. In the first 20 minutes, we were constantly forcing their defenders in to make errors by just pressing them into mistakes. Stephen says, you say Christmas because it's true, indicated because of players' form. Again, that's too long. And Ricky says there was clearly a lack of leadership yesterday. Mark says Rodgers was captain yesterday, and I can only remember seeing him shouting or commanding at anyone after we conceded. I don't remember anyone on the pitch barking instructions to anyone. Some team players get a role while others really start to struggle. Up the Gav, I love him so much, says Ricky. There you go. So there's some comments.
What did you think yesterday? And it might be ultra. And I'm not being critical. What were your observations on Pike's closing down compared to what Rose does? And you might have talked about it already.
I'm not.
Did anyone notice?
I didn't notice it, as in I didn't notice him closing down, which probably tells you everything you need to know. With Danny Rose, you notice him leading from the front. There's always something happening. Yesterday, when I was watching Pike, I didn't notice him doing much.
It looked, and like I say, I might be doing him a disservice, but it looked half-hearted. Rose is a pain in the ass for 90 minutes or 80 minutes or whatever he plays, but we didn't press the ball yesterday.
Created that goal at Gillingham because of it.
Yeah, I just didn't think it looked like token running, and like I say, that might be his game, that might be the way he's been told to do it, but Rose closes them down on them straight away, and then if somebody passes it, if there's no one there, he'll go to the next player. I didn't see that with Pike yesterday. It looked like treading water, and I might be, you know, if he's listening, I might be wrong, but that's just how it looked from the sidelines.
I'll be honest, Bruce. He just feels like every other 4th division forward guy we've had for a long time. You know, just another one that comes in and we'll forget his name in a year's time. It just feels like that. I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. I want someone who takes on that number 9 shirt and actually plays with pride doing it. But at the moment, it just seems like another curse of the number 9 shirt. No one can use it. No one can play in it. It's got too heavy. Oh, he's pressed mute on that now and he's fucked it. Oh, he's fucked it.
Can you get him a Fisher Price microphone next time rather than a professional one?
Yeah, I don't understand all this. This is beyond my technological capabilities. What was it? I forgot what I was going to say.
Hit mute then.
Cracking job, Jesus. Yeah, brilliant. Anyone got anything else to say? Because I'm dying on my arse here, and I don't think we've been that. Well, we've been critical, but we haven't been that uber critical. I don't think.
How many points do you think we'll get from Swindon and Tranmere?
6.
We've got Barrow in between.
We have, yeah.
That's good. That's good. I thought we had 2 away games on the spin, and I was, Swindon. I've been to Swindon twice, and I haven't seen a lose. So I perhaps should get in the car on Saturday. But
you bloody well should.
That's probably the only 2 times we haven't lost in the last 25 years, isn't it? But yeah, and then Tranmere. Haven't Tranmere changed the manager?
Yes,
and
we've not won there, and we've not won there this century.
Nigel Adkins.
Oh, they got Nigel in, have they? But yeah, Barrow at home. Then that's an opportunity. But I said in the fan zone yesterday, Crawley was an opportunity, and we caught that up, didn't we? So it just puts pressure on the next game, then, doesn't it? And I it might sound really doom and gloom, but I can't see us getting anything if we play like that. I can't see us getting anything at Swindon. But then, having said that, we went to Bradford, 18,000 or whatever there was there at Bradford, and we played them off the park. So which town's going to turn up? And it needs to be the other one, because
either one of those two teams, they concede a goal in the last minute, so it's kind of the same one.
This is sort of why I think there's every reason to be as pissed off as we are and as angry as we are. I do just think, though, over the course of the season, we've seen enough to think, it's not all bad. I'm not saying it's good, but I think there's enough there to hope that it gets better. I'm not saying it is good. I'm just saying I think we've seen enough to have that bit of hope that there is something there.
I'm done, gentlemen. I don't know about you.
I think on Mike's voice of reason and positivity, I think that's a good place to leave it.
For everyone going to Swindon, enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. Please don't get too down about it. It's only lower mid-table in the league after 9 games. It's not the end of the world. And that's it. From the know-it-alls here at the DN35 pod. It's great to have you along. And we shall see you all very soon. See you later. Bye.
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
I don't think I've ever wanted to be in a stand more than my life around there. They're going crazy. They got penalty here, they've been fish flying about there. There's no tomorrow.
What a magnificent piece of football! A really, really good goal! You can't mention strength like that.